I'm in a 96 M3, like nothing crazy, but like a cool car. And there's dudes out there in like brand new Corvettes, Porsche 911s, Ferraris, guys that just like have nice cars, super fast cars, but like maybe have never raced before. And so I'm out there in this group. I know the line. Like I know where you like gun it and then you slam on the brakes. I know when to shift. I know the line. And I'm like smoking these. He has a hot rod shop in Colorado. That's what.
Sick.
And so been around it pretty early on. And he brought home a go-kart that one of his clients gave him that didn't even run. And me and my brother and a friend somehow got a go-kart running. And it didn't have any brakes, and you had to step on the spark plug to get it to turn off, but I think that's kind of where it started. Historically, the British cycling team was the worst. Terrible. Like, for a while, they couldn't even get a sponsor because everybody was like, I don't even want to be associated with those losers. Like, it was so bad. So they brought in this guy, and I would sound so cool if I remembered his name. I don't know his name. They brought in this guy, and he was like, we are going to win on the aggregate of marginal gains. And so he was like, I am going to help us find 1% improvements in all the little things that we do. And by the aggregate of those 1%, it's going to add up to 10% or whatever, right? So he like talks about all this weird stuff, like testing which massage gel like makes their muscles recover the best, like testing which pillows get you the best sleep.
Yeah.
Like
Okay. I think I have heard
things.
this.
And then they ended up winning, and they were super dominant. So yeah, it's if you gotta like hear the whole story. James Clear talks about it in his book on Atomic Habits. I think that's part of where I heard. But yeah, it's a total example of what we're talking about. Just like finding the little gains in life, and they add up, and it's where winners are made of.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to an episode of the Bet Tech Show. We have got a special episode today because we have a special guest, Justin Bumgardner, here. Today's guest is someone who's lived a few different lives at a very high level, from finance, tech, and now the world of oral surgery. Underneath it all, he's really a competitor and a builder. He is the Chief Operating Officer of Central Valley Dental Implant and Oral Surgery Institute, which is a mouthful. Where he's responsible for taking this fast-growing, high-stakes medical business and making sure it runs like a well-oiled machine. Before that, he was an executive VP at Book and Ladder, helping build systems and relationships that actually move the company forward. He's competed among the gladiators in one of the most intense environments that you can pick, nearly a decade at Goldman Sachs. Those long hours, enormous expectations, and zero room for not showing up unprepared. But beyond the titles in his resume, he is a family man, a husband, and a dad of 3 kids, trying to balance that high-performance work with being present at home, which is in its own kind of championship run. He does get time to lean into his passion, and he goes all in. He is the founder of the Coop Gaming Group, his space that he's built up to bring people together around for competition connection and, of course, sim racing. Right now, he is designing the future, building the next sim racing season for his community. While at work, he's creating a new collection-based incentive program to better align his team and drive performance. Automation is his playground, either when it comes to Excel, AI, BI. If it makes things smarter and faster, Justin's the one to do it. And he is a dad who loves nothing more than Disney with his kids. Disneyland trips, Disney movies, Disney music, anything Disney. It's just leaning and being that magical family that he's got. And what makes this really interesting for us is that the same mindset shows up in everything that he does. He's the guy who treats his rig, set up a racing strategy with the same seriousness that most people reserve for their careers. So he's found the way to channel this obsession for precision and competition. So today we're going to get into it all, from his early years, transition into leading healthcare, why automation is the king, and what it means to be present as a dad and a driven operator, and how sim racing plays in all part of it. Justin Bumgardner, welcome to the show.
Welcome.
Oh, guys.
First question. First question for you. Where did your passion for racing come up? How did it all begin?
Oh man, I have loved anything that gets your adrenaline going from the very beginning. But my dad builds cars. He has a hot rod shop in Colorado. That's what
Sick.
allowed me to do all the fun stuff growing up, and so been around it pretty early on. And he brought home a go-kart that one of his clients gave him that didn't even run. And me and my brother and a friend somehow got a go-kart running, and it didn't have any brakes. And you had to step on the spark plug to get it to turn off. But I think that's kind of where it started.
You don't need brakes
Yeah,
at that
no,
age.
I mean,
You're like,
I mean,
no brakes,
nothing
full
hurts.
throttle, we're going.
Yeah. Yeah, we spray
That's
painted
awesome.
it. We spray painted the seat, which is, terrible idea. It got on you every time, but we thought it was fun.
I know you got
That's
a
so
scissor kick
awesome.
to get out of there.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, it was wild. But
No,
yeah,
that's
that's
really
kind of how it
cool.
started.
So your dad has this hot rod shop. Of all the cars that he's like built or rebuilt in your lifetime, what was your favorite car or the most memorable car that he worked on or that you got to work on with him?
Yeah,
in your childhood?
we built a 62 Impala wagon together.
Wow.
Super fun, big old boat, and left the outside all patinaed. It was a rat rod, so it looks like you just pulled it out of the
Nice.
junkyard on the outside, and then the inside's all nice and new engine, and it was so fun getting to work on it with him. And then I go off on a mission, and he decides to sell it to build a new car.
No.
So it's gone, but got some good pictures and lots of fun memories. But
That's funny.
there's been a lot of them. So, but that one sticks out.
Well, that's really cool.
That's sweet.
And so with all that, how did that like develop your drive and love for sim racing? How did that evolve into that?
Oh man, that's been like a long time coming, and maybe more recently in my life. But we're gamers. I'm a gamer. It's awesome.
Yeah.
I think that really just down in my heart, I'm competitive. I like anything that can get your adrenaline going. Like all grown up, any sport, soccer, snowboarding, rollerblading, volleyball, table tennis, like anything, like got into just any and everything. And that's probably still where I would love and what I would love to be doing. But I think that like anybody out there who's a professional now or has kids, it gets hard to do that. Like right now I have my sim racing league, and I'm also in a volleyball league, and that's like too much for my family right now. I gotta pick one, right? And so I think for a lot of us, at least I know, you guys here with me, we found a way to still get that like competitive, energetic time with the boys, doing it virtually online, right? And so, I'm still down any day, first person shooter, all about it. And then like I had some car games growing up, Need for Speed, Hot Pursuit, heck yeah,
Yeah.
Gran Turismo,
So
getting
good.
those all growing up. And I had like an old wheel at one point, and the technology wasn't great back then, so never really got into it. And then I think it was like probably during COVID, where lots of gaming passions I think were born or grew, that I like really started to get more into Formula One racing, and was like, oh, yeah, I can't like go out and drive go-karts as much like I used to. And so I got another wheel, and it wasn't anything great, but it worked. And that's where sim racing kind of became a thing for me, because I feel like, as much as I love gaming and still love gaming, and there's always going to be a place in my heart for gaming, I think I always still crave some kind of physical sport, which is so hard to do as a dad and as a working professional. And I feel like sim racing kind of blends it a little bit more, 'cause
Interesting.
it
It
brings,
was like a little bit more physical and like the
yeah,
hands
yeah.
and yeah.
It
Okay.
brings a little more physicalness to my gaming, and I'm, in playing Warzone, I've worked up a sweat for sure, but I consistently work up a sweat sim racing every week that I do it. So yeah,
That's cool.
it kind of bridges that a little bit.
And that's stress sweat. That's real sweat.
Yeah, I mean it's
Yeah.
a little bit of both for sure. Yeah, but yeah, there's some physicality to it.
Nice.
Yeah, that's cool. I remember like I talked to you a little bit a little bit ago, a few years ago when you were kind of ramping into sim racing and you were like, yeah, some of the wheels have such strong like restriction and simulate like what an actual wheel would be. Because if you crash in a car, you know, the axles are going to twist and the wheel's going to twist, right? And so if you crash in the game, like the sim like represents that on the wheel, so like your wheel will just like jack, you know, and like it'll like wreck your wrist, you
Oh, it
said. And I was
does.
like, oh, that's crazy. I didn't even think about
Oh,
that.
it totally does. Yeah, and I can, we can talk about this tonight, but there's, sim racing wheels are rated in Newton meters of force, and they get up there. So like your entry level wheel will probably have like 1.5 to 2 Newton meters of force, and that's something that you'll feel the resistance, you'll feel like the bumps in the road and stuff, but they go all the way up to 25 Newton meters of force, where like if you crash, you like get the heck away from the wheel, and there's like an eject button that like cuts the power so it doesn't wreck everything. Like it gets absolutely wild. The you can get crazy with the sim rig.
That is crazy. Yeah, that's so nuts.
Yeah.
I had no idea like how intense Sims setups can be until a few years ago when you start talking about it. And in general, like I think our friend group started talking about Formula One more and more.
Yeah.
You were a big proponent, and so was TJ.
Yeah.
He was another proponent of Formula One, and then Drive to Survive, the
Yeah.
Netflix series, was like another big reason why some of us got into it. At least that's like those are the three reasons why I started watching Formula One.
Yeah.
I'm running like my Monza Formula One. Yeah, there you go. And because of it, so, yeah, that's sweet. Ethan, do you have any other questions? I know you got some questions that you want to ask.
Yeah.
Keep going,
So
firing them off.
I guess like, okay, for somebody who's like wants to get into sim racing,
Yeah.
where do they start? Because I feel
Yeah.
like there's a lot going on.
Yeah.
If somebody looks at it, they might get overwhelmed.
Yeah.
Where do you recommend somebody start that maybe is just wanting to dip their toe in
Yeah.
and try it out?
Well, I'm gonna tell you right now, I had the same thoughts and fears really of like getting into it, that like, man, this is gonna like break the bank, right? It definitely doesn't have to. And I'd say like where sim racing should start is in the real world first. Like
Hmm.
if you have a passion for cars or going fast or racing at all, that's where it really starts. And I'm going to tell you a cool story that I think will help us explain sim racing and how to get into it. But I love racing forever. Like every guys trip we do, I try to force everybody to go race go-karts. I don't even know if everybody even likes it. I think maybe it's just me and like my brother, but I've loved racing go-karts forever, right? So I got the opportunity a little over a year ago to go race real cars for the first time. This guy invited me to go race real cars, and I'm like stoked out of my mind and like scared to death at the same time, right? Like you can actually get hurt. So there's a track out here called Big Willow Springs. If you've ever seen Ford versus Ferrari, the first intro race, they're at Willow Springs.
Got
It's
it.
one of the oldest and fastest tracks in the United States, like as average speed. And this is the track that we were going to go to. And I was borrowing somebody's car. He's letting me use his car. So I'm like, "Do not mess this up, right?" I'm like, okay, I want to like do good. It's like not a cheap thing to do, even if you're like borrowing a car. So I'm gonna make the most out of it. And I had just like started getting into sim racing. I had like just got my first real setup, and I was like, I wonder if Willow Springs is on any of these games, right? I wonder if it's there. So I'm like
Yeah.
looking on all the sim racing games, and I find it on iRacing, which if you don't, iRacing is like probably the highest end gaming system or platform for sim racing. They have like professional stewards, like referees for racing that are on there, like calling people, like it gets nuts, right? But I'm on iRacing. I find Willow Springs and I'm like, all right, I got like a month before I'm going. And so like I tried to do it every day. It was like a couple times a week. And I'm like practicing the track. And like in sim racing, they make it like super easy. They have like every assist in the world, like braking assist, steering assist. My 3-year-old daughter is getting into sim racing and it basically like drives itself. So like you can start there, right? And then you slowly like start turning stuff off, right? So it has like a line that you follow. It tells you like where to drive on the track, where's the racing line, where are the braking zones, where you should shift. And so slowly I'm like starting to take those assists off, right? And so like a week before I'm supposed to go race, like I know the racing line. I know where to brake. I know where to shift. Like, and these tracks on most of the sim racing platforms now are so advanced. They have a LiDAR camera that they'll go and scan the track. So you literally feel every bump, dip, slick spot. Like, it is so accurate now.
Wow.
And so I'm racing this track, and then it's race day now, right? And so I'm like, you have to like fill out if you've ever done it before. And I'm like, no, I'm a total beginner. So they put you in like the beginner group. And I get out there, and I'm in a 96 M3, you know, like nothing crazy, but like a cool car. And there's dudes out there in like brand new Corvettes, Porsche 911s, Ferraris, you know, guys that just like have nice cars, super fast cars, but like maybe have never raced before. And so I'm out there in this group, and I know the line. Like, I know where you like gun it and then you slam on the brakes. I know when to shift. I know the line, and I'm like smoking these guys. I'm like, what is happening, dude? I'm in this like I've never raced before, but like so much of racing is about confidence and like knowing the line and knowing when to brake and knowing when to shift, and like you can get all of that from sim racing. And so like I knew the line, I knew the braking, I knew where it was slick, I knew where the bumps were. Like there were some blind turns, and I knew the angle to go at because I had raced it so many times in the sim. And at the end of the day, you have 5 sessions. I moved up 2 groups. Because it's like, it's not because I'm like good. It's just like I knew the line and I was able to practice. So I would say that is like something I would say to get you into sim racing, know that it doesn't just have to be a game. Like it translates to the real world and like makes you a better driver.
Yeah.
So that was super fun. And like that, I think, is what like really hooked me. I was like, dude, this is real. And if you watch Formula One, if you've watched Drive to Survive, like these dudes are in sims all the time. And like their rigs are not my rig that's sitting next to me, but like, it totally works. So if you want to get into it, gear wise, it's not bad at all. Like I think most people who are going to be watching us right now have some type of console or PC or whatever. Like that's the biggest cost up front. Is like
Gotcha.
You gotta have some type of console or a PC that's gonna run a game. Pick the game that you like. I'm into Formula One, so I'm doing the Formula One game. It's on sale all the time, so like $35. You can get the game, or if you have Game Pass, they have it on there. And then there's a huge range. We can talk about some of the crazy stuff. Logitech makes a sick entry-level wheel. The G923 or the G90, the one that's specific for PlayStation or specific for Xbox, awesome entry-level wheel. Brand new, you get it for like $400 to $300 depending on which one you get, which is still pretty steep, right? But there is a wild secondary market for sim racing stuff. Like all these guys during COVID, Formula One's sick. I'm gonna like spend all my money that I have not doing anything and buy a rig, and then they like race it 3 times. And they're like, nah, I'm not into it. So like secondhand,
or like they're upgrading their rig.
Yeah, that's totally me too. Or they're upgrading. Yeah. So entry level setup, $150. $150. You got a wheel, pedals with 2 Newton meters of force. It's gonna feel like racing, and you're gonna have a ton of fun.
That's sweet. The story that you bring up of like you practice, you knew when to shift, you knew when to like turn, you knew when to brake. It reminded me of my buddy. I think you've actually talked to him over the phone. His name's Dave.
Yeah.
He's a good friend of mine.
Yeah.
He raced dirt bikes. He was a dirt bike racer.
Sick.
And I was talking to him maybe like a year and a half ago, and he's like, "Oh, I went mountain biking, like downhill mountain biking with my friends." And I'm like, "Oh, how was that?" He's like, "I'd never gone before." And he's like, "But my friends had been going for years." And I was like, "Oh, sick. Was it like pretty fun?" He's like, "Yeah, like I was really nervous because, you know, like I've only been on like motorbikes, and they wanted to like cruise down quickly down like the mountain. Like you take a lift up and then you cruise down." And I'm like, "So how'd it go? Like, did you keep up?" He's like, "I freaking smoked them, dude." And I was like, "Really?" He's like, "Dude, I was burning them. Like I was hitting corners so much harder than they were. Like it was so light. I knew like braking and turning, and it was the exact same thing that you were saying." It's like his skill set translated to this adjacent sport of like downhill biking. I thought I wasn't expecting to say that. Yeah, I was expecting him to say like, "Oh, dude, I sucked. Like I crashed." He's like, "I smoked him." Just exactly what you said, dude. Like smoked him. I thought it was so funny. That's a great story. I love that story though, Justin. That's so fun.
It was so fun.
It reminds me also too of the Gran Turismo movie, right?
Yes.
Because he's a sim racer,
Yeah.
and it's a true story, right?
True story. Yeah, totally. Still races.
Yeah, that's so nuts. It's just crazy. Was it Nissan that did the program of like sim racers
Yeah.
and then turned them into actual
Yeah.
racers?
Yeah. But I will
So
say
nuts.
there are some things that you can't get out of a out of a sim
Of
race.
sim? Yeah.
So like you hear about in that movie, you hear about him talking about like the balance of the car, like keeping the car balanced. You know, you hear him talking about that all the time in Formula One, and you're like, oh yeah, like you got to be balanced, right? And I've had no idea what everybody's talking about. But like when you're driving and you slam on the brakes, the car literally like lifts up, right? And like
Yeah.
jerks
Yeah.
forward. And then like if you like downshift, you guys have probably felt it, right? If you downshift too soon, same thing. The car's like, wah, wah, you know, and like
Yeah.
gets all
Yeah.
bumpy. Or if you like, you know, gas it too much, it like leans back. So that is not something that I could get out of the sim. So like keep in mind I'm like borrowing this dude's car. And I like come out, I'm like going into this turn, slam on the brakes, you know, so the car's like way lifted up, and then I'm like downshift this sucker, gut it out of the turn, full 360, dude, going 60 miles an hour, like spun his car out into the dirt, like rocks everywhere.
That's so awesome. I love that.
It's like broke this guy's car, and they have a meeting after every session, and they're like, yeah, some dude like put all these rocks on the track, and I'm like, like yeah, you can't, it doesn't often. It's like,
I freaking love that, dude. This story's amazing. I love this story.
it was a
That's
great
awesome.
highlight of my life for sure.
Yeah, that's so sick. I can imagine so. Dude, were you just like feeling so pumped right before knowing like, dude, I know this track. I know the line so well.
Yeah, it was so weird that it translated to real life because I like they even have like the same signage, you know? So I like you like learn your breaking points. You're like, okay, when this fence ends, you mash it, you know, like you like,
Yeah, yeah,
you're like,
yeah,
all
yeah.
right, there's the fence. Like, is this like am I for real? You know? And then you do it and it stuck. So it was super fun and super weird that it could actually, you know, help, can actually make a difference like that.
That's
And
crazy.
that's what's been really fun for sim racing for me is that like that feeling, you know, that I like never have experienced ever before racing a real car, and it's is attainable in my living room, you know, any night. And it's not the same. Don't get me wrong. Like real racing was so incredible, but you know, talking to the guy that I was borrowing his car, you know, I was talking to him about like sim racing and how I'd practice, and he's like, oh, you know, dude, that's so cool because like all you know when he goes out and races, like that was a whole Saturday. You know, bless my
Yeah.
wife letting me do it. You know, we got up crazy early, had to load up the cars. I had to borrow a truck. I don't even own a truck, so I had to like borrow somebody's truck to like tow the car to the track. You spend the whole day there, and then you have to drive back. And like total racing, we had like 5 25-minute sessions, but I spent like, you know, we left at like 5:30 and got home at like 8, you know, to do like 5 25-minute sessions. Whereas like a sim rig, like I wake up early, you know, I wake up like 20 minutes before my kids get up, and I'm like in a race, like sweating it against some dude like right then, and then like boom, turn it off, go to work. You know, like it's a cool thing to still get that edge without having build up and, you know, trailering and logistics. Like
Yeah.
you get that energy, whatever you want to call it,
Yeah.
without
That's so
having to
cool
like
though.
spend all that time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's really cool. I mean, you've talked about a little bit about this, but with sim racing, what has that, as you've been like in this world for a couple of years, what has that taught you about yourself as a person beyond the track?
I love that you asked that question because I've thought about this recently, and I'm like, man, maybe I like should have thought about my career a little bit more. But so I like you talked about it. I worked at Goldman Sachs for almost 10 years, and for at the beginning of that, I was in operations. And I like totally fell into it. Like Ben's known me a long time. Like out of all of the tracks you could go in business, finance was my least favorite. I don't even want to be. And then I ended up spending like almost 10 years. I'm in operations, and it's like super repetitive. Like you have systems that you just have to keep doing. And I've learned that like I kind of like that. That I kind of like being able to like find a process and then like just keep refining it a little bit and a little bit to make it more efficient or more effective or more fun or whatever it is. And that's totally what racing is. You know, like you're going around the same track, and like when we're leading up to a race weekend that we're going to race a track, like I race that track probably like 30 times, you know, before the race day. And it's going around the same track and just getting a little bit faster. Like you're fighting for tenths of a second, you know? So you're just like, you break a little bit later, you get down a little bit earlier, you take a little bit tighter apex, you know, it's just like little tiny things. And I don't think I realized that that was a passion of mine until I started sim racing. Like something that I think I'm good at or that I like in my life is just like refining processes a little bit here and there. And that, I mean, that's totally what racing is.
So it's those little details that have like you've really found that brought you a lot of meaning in your life.
Yeah, that's a good way to say it.
I also feel like I've kind of evaluated this, and I don't sim race, but this instance has come up in my life as like a memory of like people who either play sports or maybe race or in any kind of competition. You look for opportunities where you can improve, even if it is just like a tenth of a second, right? And for me, I played Need for Speed, and there are some challenges in Need for Speed where you need to beat the person. And so you find the shortcuts of the track, or you find areas where you can be a little bit more efficient and time efficient. And 1 second or a tenth of a second makes a difference.
Yeah.
And I realized that I deal with people in my life that never really had the competitive drive, or maybe didn't play the games or didn't really involve themselves in the sports, where they had to evaluate themselves and then incrementally change little things to improve. And so I feel like I see problem solving skills. There's a gap there because they don't know how to identify areas of improvement and then test and tweak and change and adjust.
Yeah.
And you see that in business.
Totally.
And I feel like it's such a good skill to have, to be able to evaluate what you did, where are the small changes we can make that have big impact. Yeah. And it sounds like that's how it is with sim racing too, and racing on a track, right?
Totally. No, that's such a good way to say it, Ben. You're right. It's not just racing, but like any aspect of life, like any competitor is finding the little edges, you know, and that's really at the highest level of any competition. That's like where things are won, right? Is like on the fringe, like, you know, at the last minute, you know, or whatever it is. Like it's that little bit that gets you the win. And I love it, man. I just love that. You know, I always thought, like playing soccer growing up, the games that were super close, that it was like a nail biter and then you won. Dude, those were always so much better than like the total blowouts, right? I mean, it's the ones that you lose are the worst, but like when you win, it's so great. And I think you're right. It's those just like fighting for that little bit is so rewarding. It's definitely something I love, and even at work, you know, finding like those little ways to make things more efficient. And that story about the British cycling team, I mean, we could talk about that all night, but man, if anybody doesn't know that story, look into the story of the British cycling team. 1%.
I don't think I know that story.
Oh,
I don't think I know that story.
Oh, I mean, so the British cycling team, I'll just give you a quick summary.
Yeah. Give me a,
I don't know if you know this. Have you heard this story, Ethan?
No, I haven't. So this is news to me too.
So historically, the British cycling team was the worst. Terrible. Like, for a while, they couldn't even get a sponsor because everybody was like, I don't even want to be associated with those losers. Like, they were so bad. So they brought in this guy, and I would sound so cool if I remembered his name. I don't know his name. They brought in this guy, and he was like, we are going to win on the aggregate of marginal gains. And so he was like, I am going to help us find 1% improvements in all the little things that we do. And by the aggregate of those 1%, it's going to add up to 10% or whatever, right? So he like talks about all this weird stuff, like testing which massage gel like makes their muscles recover the best, like testing which pillows get you the best sleep, and they like bring them to the hotel.
Yeah. Okay, I think I have heard this.
And then they ended up winning, and they were super dominant, and they're like still super dominant. So yeah, it's if you gotta like hear the whole story. James Clear talks about it in his book on Atomic Habits. I think that's part of where I heard it. But yeah, it's a total example of what we're talking about. You know, just like finding the little gains in life, and they add up, and you know, that's what winners are made of.
That's great.
I like that.
Yeah.
I mean,
I feel like I feel like there's like a rowing story that's similar to that. I'll have to look it up and message it to you guys.
Yeah.
I want to say there's a
The
rowing
boys in the
story.
boat.
Maybe it's the boys in the boat. Yeah,
Yeah.
maybe it's that, but I can't remember off the top of my head. But I remember it sounds familiar. Anyway, I had a question about automation in your role, Justin. But Ethan, if you have something else, I want to just let
No,
you.
go for it, Ben.
You kind of mentioned that you like efficiencies and automation, and the world right now. We on the podcast we've talked about a lot of AI and advancements in AI and what's happening with like Claude and OpenClaw and Modbot and Moltbot, whatever, and a lot of people are looking to automate. Where have you implemented any kind of automation, whether that is with like Claude or something of similar sorts, or maybe your own processes through like, macros in Excel? What does that look like for you and what are you doing?
Yeah, I not as cool as what you're talking about right now because I don't even know half the words that you were just saying there. But
That's totally fine.
I got really lucky that and if anybody at work ever watches this podcast, like it is and was a super successful oral surgery group. Like these guys were just doing amazing and built this awesome business. But they wanted to scale, they want to grow, and that's where they brought me in. And I got super lucky to come into a company that like was like, if we're driving cars right now, they were like driving a horse and buggy, and somehow they were just raking it in with like nobody knew anything about AI. Like I was literally telling people at work, like, yeah, go ahead and just use ChatGPT for that. And they're like, what are you talking about? I'm like, no way. I'm just
Like,
like,
yeah, just pull up your computer.
yeah.
My what? A computer?
So I've gotten lucky that I look like a total superhero, but it's not anything cool. But it's like I still think it's important to remember like the little things. So like Excel is such a cool tool that I think I took for granted so much in my career until coming here. Like our poor HR manager would manually do payroll every 2 weeks. Like they would record their time in a system, and that system does not spit out data in the spreadsheet. It gives you a PDF with everybody's individual name, and she would manually then take everybody's time and have to total them up and then add in a bonus and do that for multiple weeks to get the pay period and then submit all of that into back into a separate payroll system that then would pay everybody.
Brutal.
Literally 12 hours every 2 weeks you
Gosh.
would spend doing payroll. And I'm like, dude, we cannot do this, right? So
Yeah.
so we just got on a new HR software. We use Insperity. They've been around for a long time. It's a PEO, but like tons of companies do this. So now like they clock in and out on their phone like the rest of the world that has hourly employees. And that feeds into their same payroll system that now the managers just go through and say, yep, everybody was here. They hit approve. It goes to our HR person who just looks for discrepancies or, time off requests and then hits approve. So that has gone down to like 30 minutes. And
So nice.
and then the other part of it is we pay this production bonus based on how they do every day. And that part, they didn't have a solution for. And so I just made, they were recording their production every day on a piece of paper that they would print out and hand deliver, 30 minutes away to the office. And dude, I'm not making it up. And hand delivered to them, and then she would like add that onto that same sheet, and put it in. And so now, I made some simple spreadsheets where people like type in their production and their write-offs, and it automatically calculates the bonuses, and then they just like drop it into a shared Excel file that then totals it, does like a simple VLOOKUP for the name, and then she has a list and the amount of everybody's bonuses that she just sends in a separate email to our payroll company. So literally it went from 12 hours, no joke, maybe more than that, to probably like 35, 40 minutes. It's so cool. And I look like a total superhero for stuff that like kids are doing in 5th grade.
Still, that's so sweet though. That I bet it's such a good feeling to see those massive gains of time and improvement. And it's like it's kind of fun, like you're making your coworkers' job easier. And I'm sure they're just loving that. And Anytime, I feel like all three of us and most probably of our listeners are probably feeling the same way, where when you can help someone out with something and like relieve them of like a pain of a process, or even if you're just doing some kind of service, it just feels really good. It's rewarding. So that's kind of cool. I love hearing that. Thanks, dude. Thanks for sharing that.
The hard part, and I think this is something for everybody who's like more advanced than I am, is like I've very quickly realized that if I get hit by a bus tomorrow, all of this work is out the door because like nobody else knows how to use Excel.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
that's been like the real challenge, and I think something important for people who are building stuff like this is like you got to train the next generation on how to use it, or
Yeah.
else it's gonna be gone.
Yeah, I think Excel is like the most undervalued skill of all time because I mean Ben and I worked at the same place once and we were in the accounting field at that company and we were in Excel on a daily basis. That's where I gained all of my Excel knowledge
Yeah.
and how to do some weird jujitsu with Excel.
Yes.
And then going into other companies, nobody knows what Excel is or how to use it.
Yeah.
And I see people like manually copying from one cell to another. I'm like, there's a shortcut for that. There's like all these shortcuts. And I think that, if people were to understand and have that ability to learn the tools a little bit better, a lot of the pain points that a lot of businesses have could be solved pretty easily for a simple program.
Yeah. And you know what's really been helpful to maybe tie it into more modern day is like Chat GPT or any of these AI platforms, like they can teach you Excel and help you with Excel so much. Like I'll be like, all right, because I'm still kind of rusty, right? I took a couple Excel classes in college and I like did some very specific things at Goldman in Excel, but like my overall Excel, knowledge library is gotten pretty dusty.
Sure.
And so I'll be
Yeah.
like, look, I know that it like does this one thing, and it's like, yeah, here's the formula for it. But then you can just be like, all right, like I could just like copy and paste and put that in there and it'd work. But you can ask, how does this work? Like break it down for me. And I've been using that a lot, and that's what I've been telling my team to do is like, hey, you want to do something in Excel or it's something that I built and you don't know what to do, just like ask AI, find your favorite AI and just ask it like, hey, how does this work? How do I fix it? And it's been a really cool tool to like teach yourself stuff.
That's sweet.
Yeah.
I like that. I think a lot of people they kind of take that first layer from AI, which is like, I'll ask you a question, you give me the answer, and then we go, right? And they don't dig deep to understand why it's the answer or how it's the answer.
Yeah.
And that brings up a really good point. I myself am at fault for that. There's probably a lot of things that I could learn if I just ask like, okay, how did that answer come up? Or can you explain that to me in like I'm a 2-year-old or a fifth grader or something, in simple terms. When I work in accounting and finance, so most of my coworkers know Excel really well, but we partner with a lot of people in private equity and venture capitalists and insurance companies and valuation firms and all these people that do different roles in finance and accounting. And so sometimes I don't understand what this other company that we're partnering with, I don't know what they do. And so I'll ask ChatGPT, hey, this is the company I'm partnering with. I'm going to a business meeting with them. Can you just tell me what they do and tell me like how does that apply to my job in my role? And what are some questions I can ask? And it's just so nice having that as a backup, like before I go to this meeting, because I learn, one of the industry they're in and how they could help me and how we might be able to partner together.
Yeah.
AI is incredible. It's so helpful in a lot of ways, and I think a lot of people just don't take advantage of it.
Yeah. Yeah. I've even been getting into it more as like like a social fun thing. And and I'm always, maybe I'm like that, loser who's like, get off of social media or whatever. And that's probably not good when we're like on a podcast right now. But like I'm trying to like use my time, meaningfully. And so I've been like trying to learn more using AI. And I like am probably an idiot for not knowing this, but like the other day I was like, all right, ChatGPT, like is gravity because the Earth is spinning around the sun, or is it because the Earth is spinning on its axis? Because I was like,
Yeah,
that never makes
yeah,
sense to me. Like they always give the example of like swinging a bucket, but I'm like, if we're spinning, we should be flying off the Earth. you guys are all like way smarter than me and probably know how gravity works. I didn't know. And it like blew my mind, dude. I was up like all night, just like to me and ChatGPT just talking away like, what?
Went down a rabbit hole.
How does
Yeah.
that work? Like, do you know like astronauts when you're in space and there's like zero gravity and they're like floating around? No, it's not zero gravity. It's because they are constantly falling. Did you guys know that?
No.
Oh,
Yeah,
They're
I
falling
did.
towards the earth?
huh?
Because
Is it
they're
because
in
they're
orbit.
falling towards the earth?
Yeah, so
Yeah.
like as like anything that's orbiting around the Earth is pulling it in, but it's still going at a rate that it's like falling into air. So it's just a constant free fall
Yeah.
toward the Earth.
Yeah, it's going like
To a certain point. I
Earth
mean,
is
like it goes long enough, it will eventually come down to Earth.
yeah, it's like the Earth is constantly pulling it, pulling it to itself, but you're
Yeah.
going so fast horizontally.
Yeah,
By the
and so
time you're gonna hit, you pass it and you fall.
yeah, it's like magnets, right? If you have like one magnet, it's attracting it, but it's going so fast that it'll bypass it and then like
Yeah.
kind of loop around, right? Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And so that's why they're floating, not because there's no gravity, but because they're like in a falling elevator nonstop.
Yeah.
So I was
Yeah.
in the middle of the night, dude, just like me and ChatGPT, and it's just like blowing my mind on on gravity and space and
I love that. I love that.
sick.
I also love that ChatGPT doesn't judge us for our questions.
I
You
know,
know.
always is like, that's such a great question. It makes you feel really good about yourself. In the back, it's like, you idiot.
Yeah. That's so funny.
It's really good at pandering. So
Yes. It tells you what you want to hear, and it's also
yeah.
really great for all my sim racing questions. Because I've been like, so tell me about this. How does this work? Because I'm like, I'm a couple years into it, but I would say just the past 5 months is when I've really been like getting into the gear, and so it like is so good at giving you like lists of options and like. I'll be even like, I want to spend, this much on it. And it'll be like, okay, you should probably look in like the secondary market or whatever. And if you spend the money to get like the paid ChatGPT, it'll find ads for you on Facebook Marketplace. It'll be
Wow,
like, I found
that's cool.
one. Here's the price. Here's where it's at. You need to ask them these questions. It's super cool. Makes it
Here's how you negotiate for the best price.
yeah.
That's sweet.
If it's got this, it probably should be worth this. And it'll literally, it'll send you like 5 listings and be like, yeah, here's some right here. Hit them up.
That's so crazy. That's wild. I've never thought of it like that. I've never thought of using it like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's awesome.
all right, I've got one last question for you, Justin.
Okay. Yes. Sorry.
With all the knowledge that you've gained so far, what advice can you give to someone who is going to get started in this, who wants to either become a racer, get into sim racing? What's the one piece of advice that you could give them to set them up for success?
Piece of advice. I would say don't buy it new. If I have to pick one thing and you're wanting to just get into it, don't buy it new. Yeah. There's like crazy deals you can have buying it secondhand from somebody. And sorry, this is maybe 2. I think this is the second thing.
No, go for it.
The PC route is if you're going to get really into it, you have to have a PC. Like they have all sorts of peripherals that you can get. You can get wild with the gears and add-ons.
Yeah, PC can take anything.
But guys, for anybody out there who is not a PC whiz like my 2 friends here, it sucks. Like I'll be like, all right, I got my 20 minutes in the morning. I wake up in the morning, I turn the game on, and like the wheel doesn't work. And I'm like, what the crap? And like I'm like with my friend ChatGPT now on the other side of the day, asking like, okay, my wheel's doing this, what's happening? And there's some like driver that it doesn't tell you or some up like it gets really frustrating. So if you have a PC and you want to get into it, don't give up. Talk to my friends Ben and Ethan. They'll help you through the PC in a bit and get you good because it definitely has more options, but a console is so easy. My Lila Ray will get on. She'll be like, she knows how to turn it on. She's 3. Turns it on. She's like in a race, like done a couple laps, and I'm like still loading up. Like
Yeah.
So secondary market. Talk to Ben and Ethan about your computer.
I like it.
Cool.
Great
I would say
advice.
talk to Ethan more than me. He's more the PC guy. Ethan, you take that hat, okay?
Okay, I can take it. And the only
Cool.
reason I know about PC stuff is because I have failed at it at least
Am I
three
not?
times.
Am I not wrong? Like, does that
No,
not
you are right. PC can be really frustrating, and the only reason that like I tolerate it is because I've gone through these problems so many times that I know how to fix it. I've just failed so much at it that I know how to fix it.
I feel like this, if there's anybody out there listening right now, or for us three guys, trying to make the side hustle our main thing so we can all retire, we need to make the Xbox automatic update button for a PC. Like, how is that not a thing? How is it not just like, hey, there's updates and you hit it and it just does all of them? Like, why is that not a thing on a PC?
It's Windows. Windows is the problem.
Yeah, I think that's probably it. The Windows.
Well, if anybody ever wants to vent about their PC struggles, I would love to talk to you.
Call Justin up.
Yeah.
But it's also sick. It also
We should start a hotline. Go live, start a hotline. 1-800 complain about your PC. PC support group,
I'm not gonna
yeah.
help you, but I'll complain with you, dude.
Yeah, not like support, like tech support. That's not it. We're like
Emotional
feelings,
support.
emotional support.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll talk you down. I can't fix your problem, but
Yeah.
Well, that might actually be a good business venture. Just
I would
an
love that.
emotional PC support.
yeah, dude, 5:45 in the morning, and I'm just like, dude, I just need to yell with somebody. My game is like blue now. Like, what's happening?
Yeah, for sure.
I like it.
Well, this is great. Go
Yeah.
ahead, Ethan. Sorry, I didn't want to cut you off there.
No, you're good. Justin, thank you so much
Thanks,
for
guys.
joining us today. We
So fun.
really appreciated having you on. For our listeners out there, give us a thumbs up if you liked it. That really does help out our channel. If you didn't like it, make sure you send this to somebody you disliked. I'm sure they could use that in their life. As always, ring-a-ling that ding-a-ling button so you never miss out on any content as it's posted on the channel. Until next time, stay classy and have a great evening.
Peace.